Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuff and things in Griffin Bass, so despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Well, we're not done with camp yet. We still have 2 more exhibition games, but we're getting near the end. Got to decide who to bring north. And at this point, we have what we view as 6 healthy starters. At that point, the conversation becomes, do we do a 6-man rotation? Looking at the schedule and the amount of off days that we have in April, that didn't look beneficial. In fact, it looked like it might be detrimental. And of course, when you do a 6-man rotation, you've got to subtract head count from your bullpen. We talked about setting up some type of piggyback or moving someone to the bullpen, and that didn't make sense for us either with what we were trying to do for the first couple turns through the rotation and the schedule and the bullpen. And it's important to us that we keep our starters lengthened out, up and running, and prepared to start, because we got a very long season ahead of us, and I'm positive that we're going to need more than 5. So this was the maneuver that we landed on after extensive discussion. So it is always tough when you're sending somebody out, especially a veteran that spent a lot of time with his team and had a good season last year. But managing a pitching staff over the course of a major league season is not easy, and it requires maneuverings, and sometimes players get optioned when they have options, and that's how the system is organized right now with the current CBA. So we're pretty confident and hopeful that it'll be a short-term affair. And we had
It's a lengthy answer. It's a very lengthy answer from Mike Elias, courtesy of Mass, and I was going to let it keep going, but I just didn't know how long it was going to go, so I decided this is the time.
About a minute 50. We made it like a
All
minute,
right.
minute 30,
I guess
40.
we could have probably let it
Yeah, I
finish
guess
at that point, but it is what it is. You might, if you're new here, you might not know that voice or that face. That's Griffin Bass.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Nice cameo appearance today. Appreciate you doing that. Good to have Griffin back. And good to have you back with us after, I hope you weren't burned by the sun yesterday. My family was. We went to the Towson baseball game.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah. What happened? Yeah, how'd it go? I haven't been following the Towson baseball season too closely.
Well, they had a 6-0 lead after 1 inning.
Boom. And then games only last 1 inning, right?
Yeah. I just say the next 11 at least, because we gave up. The next 11 were scored by the Camels. So,
Well,
yeah, then we bailed after that. We said, well, we've seen enough. But we went to a local establishment. We decided we were going to do the day out with the dog yesterday. So we went to a dog-friendly establishment for brunch. And
they have one of those here? I guess you don't want to name it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they don't pay us money. It's actually the establishment where Mrs. Clark and I met once upon a time.
Really?
Yes. And now you had to go to the back patio for the dog, and the problem with that is the back patio was not in the sun. So it was cold. Like we had the jackets on, the whole deal on the back patio. So then we wore the jackets as we got to the Towson baseball game. We definitely did not need those. It was baking. The kids were like passing out, man. They were also very disappointed because they just weren't sharp, like the pounce on the foul balls. They got a new thing at Towson where you can trade your foul ball in for a free pizza.
Wow, I didn't know we were doing free pies.
Yeah.
I guess I should get out to the
right.
get out to a game and.
You can't get the pizza at the game. It's like a coupon for a pizza, but still, my kids were like, "Well, we've got lots of baseballs, but a free pizza's a free pizza, you know." But they didn't get any. They didn't get any because the sun was zonking them, man, like zonking them. They were, and 11 straight runs scored by the other team didn't help. The whole deal.
Oh man, Towson baseball.
So hope, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Hope you had a better time with the warm weather yesterday, and it's looking pretty decent for Thursday. I like that. That is very good news. All right, Steve Johnson is going to join us in a bit. We will talk more about Dean Kremer with him. I'm going to share my thoughts. And Patrick Stevens will check in a little bit later on as we'll go over the first 2 rounds of the NCAA Tournament and what's set for the Sweet 16. The only person, by the way, that's basically done in our bracket contest is our defending champion, Mark Terrell. He picked Florida. So this is basically the only person for whom it's over. Otherwise, I feel like everybody's very much in it. Today's show is brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour, which returns. The Monday baseball shows start back up today as Stan, Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson will be talking baseball with you every Monday, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Today it'll be at 5 o'clock. As always, it's brought to you by the Costa Sin with 2 great locations, the OG in Dundalk, the new one in Timonium. Here are my thoughts on the Orioles shockingly sending Dean Kremer to the minors. Yeah, that's about right. That's it. Griffin's showing this from Jake Rill of MLB.com comparing last year's rotation to this year's rotation. It's interesting, when I was on WBL on Saturday, I sort of had this conversation as to why I would be stunned, flabbergasted if the Orioles bottomed out the way that they did a year ago. It's because they have such immediately a more legitimate major league rotation to put out there. That's why I'd be shocked if they completely bottomed out the way that they did a year ago. And if you don't bottom out, then essentially you're going to be in the mix, right? Like anybody who's near 500 in July is in the mix. It requires you truly bottoming out. And when you look at that and you see the qualified major league pitchers, and now look, there's a bigger problem there. Like, will Trevor Rogers be last year's Trevor Rogers? Can Kyle Bradish hold up over the course of a season after throwing 71 total innings? There's still plenty of questions. And is there really an ace in that group? Whether it's Rogers or Bradish, they seem like the 2 most likely candidates, although the Orioles want you to believe that Shane Baz is in that conversation. And hell, for a stretch in his life, Zach Eflin looked like that type of pitcher. At once upon a time, Chris Bassett with that type of pitcher. Will there be an ace in that group? I don't know. But they're qualified major league pitchers. And as I said going into the offseason, while I was shooting higher than what the Orioles did, certainly I never believed in solving the problem for Dean Kremer. There was no world to me where, well, you got to hold that rotation spot because it's got to be Dean Kremer. Why? And it's with no disrespect to Dean Kremer, who is a fine back end of the rotation starter. But if it costs you Dean Kremer's rotation spot, that's okay. And it's obviously even less complicated because this really isn't even them telling you he's not in the rotation. They're just saying right now he's not in the rotation. And mathematically, he's the one they can do this with. They can't send Chris Bassett down. They can't send Zach Eflin down. But they can with Dean Kremer. As far as Mike Elias's explanation, like someone would say, is this humiliating Dean Kremer? Did he deserve instead to just be in the bullpen instead of being sent down? His argument is, well, you want to keep guys stretched out. You don't want to have Dean Kremer work short spurts and then ask him to go back to starting. And I don't know. I'm guessing if you ask Dean Kremer his opinion, he'd probably say he'd rather do exactly that than pitch in Norfolk, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Dean Kremer's like, it's actually beautiful this time of year. I don't know. But my guess is he would prefer to be in the bullpen, but I understand the thought. It's clear that they want to hang on to Albert Suarez, who can opt out. I get it. I do. And everybody always is obviously added on the fact that Dean Kremer's never good in April, and that's true for whatever reason. But I think he's still going to make starts in April. I don't think we're going to get through April without Dean Kremer starting for the Baltimore Orioles one way or the other, whether that's because something goes wrong or it's just because they get to a point where they play 6 games in 6 days and they decide they want to have a 6th starter for that stretch. I think Dean Kremer is going to start in April. I just don't think this is that big of a deal. It's a bummer for him, undoubtedly, and in a way, it is humiliating for a qualified major league pitcher to pitch in the minors without it being a rehab assignment. And I really wish there was a way to do this. Like, there's a part of me that almost is like, man, if you knew you were going to do this, maybe, like, put him on the IL 10 days ago so we can just call this a rehab assignment, right? Like, just to save face. Because it does feel like this is a demotion. It's not. It's just a math equation. That's all it is. And it's tough. I get it. It's easier to be robotic about it when it doesn't affect you and just say, yes, this is the thing to do. But, I mean, James McCann, who we just talked to recently, had to go back to the minors. Major League Baseball players have had to have stints in the minors. And his wasn't even as simplistic as Dean's is. Dean's is not a reflection of him not being major league worthy or when Trevor Rogers got sent down. It's not punitive. It's just the reality of the situation. Which, again, I don't think makes him feel any better. I keep trying to talk in circles about this. I bet if I'm Dean Kremer, I'm livid. I hope that gets you pissed off, angry, focused Dean Kremer whenever he starts for the Orioles. We all know the story. Dean Kremer is not a high-level major league pitcher. He's a guy that is capable of being a high-level major league pitcher. And undoubtedly will, for a stretch this season, be a high-level major league pitcher. But his inconsistency is also part of the story. And his inconsistency is the reason why the Orioles could no longer solve for Dean Kremer. That's okay. That's the sign of a healthy organization. Some teams have 8 to 9 starting pitchers. The Orioles have 6. And hopefully other guys, Trey Gibson, Brandon Young, become starting pitchers. But they have 6. And that's a good place to start when you're trying to do something. So, again, we'll talk about it more with Steve Johnson in a couple minutes, but it's just hard for me to be worked up about this. It's sort of like I talk about, like, we get caught up in, I would tell you I think the Orioles shouldn't be solving for Colton Cowser, right? Like, who I like, and I know hit a bajillion-foot home run yesterday. I thought we were coming in with that. That's what he does. He loves to hit fastballs for long home runs. And then, of course, it's everything in between there. I think the Orioles should have done a better job of solving for center field and not solving for Colton Cowser. I say this right now with the Ravens and their kicker situation. I don't think the Ravens should be solving for Tyler Loop. I think they should be solving for kicker. I prefer it when you solve a problem, not just default to a person.
That looked like a curveball, actually.
I think you're right. I think it was a curveball. Which is not normally the ones that he pounds for 500 feet home runs. Normally, those are fastballs. You get fine.
You just want the sound, or you just want?
You can go ahead. What the hell? What are we doing? I know you're very excited.
Holdover, which is great for these players. Holy smokes, that ball is slugged. Colton Cowser demolishes the ball to the back of the flag court. Well, it's not opening day yet, but bottle that thing up.
The Utah Street.
Courtesy of Masson, of course.
Courtesy of Masson, yeah.
Some controversy about whether or not Colton Cowser should get a plaque.
Well, no.
What do you mean?
No, he shouldn't get one.
Oh, you're as people
Well, I mean,
pointed
it's
out,
an exhibition.
Ken Griffey Jr. got one.
I know, but that was still, I don't know. That was, I mean, does he deserve one? Did that ball even hit the warehouse?
It did.
It did?
It did.
Off of in
no,
the air?
he's the only one that ever. Yep.
Right.
Now, it was in the home run derby. It wasn't in a game.
I think, well, yeah, but the home run derby's got some legitimacy.
No, it does not.
Yeah, he gets to say,
I
the
would
warehouse.
argue
Pete
less
Alonso,
legitimacy.
ask Pete Alonso.
I would argue less legitimacy than that game yesterday.
No, I would argue far more legitimacy than, I mean, what happened yesterday was nothing.
Right, I understand that, but like if I'm grooving you a pitch, so should anybody that hits one in batting practice, should they get a plaque?
No.
Okay.
No.
I am in agreement. I don't think Colton Cowser should get a plaque for it, but I mean, it was a very long home run, and he loves hitting very long home runs.
But Ken Griffey's was in the spirit of a competition, right? Like other guys.
You don't think anybody was competing yesterday?
That Nats pitcher, I don't know. That was
They're just not very good.
Yeah.
God, speaking of getting sent down, Dylan Cruz got sent down by the Nationals.
Ooh.
Rough times. By the way, we didn't talk about it last week, but very interesting that both Cade Stroud got sent down by the Diamondbacks and Grayson Rodriguez has dead arm. Now, we were kind of tough on both of those, like, admittedly. And again, I say kind of tough.
Did Stroud just have a really bad spring?
That's the sense that I got. Is he just had a really bad spring. I still don't know that the Orioles' bullpen options will definitively be better than Cade Stroud. I can't say that with confidence. Blaze Alexander looks like a helpful piece, and certainly given the Orioles' injury issues, they desperately need Blaze Alexander. So there is no doubt that in the moment that one looks a lot better and a lot cleaner than it looked at the time that move was made. And the Grayson Rodriguez thing, we all knew the reality. It wasn't really about the trade itself and more about the whole of the Grayson Rodriguez picture and the way that in the span of 1 year they went from we're building an entire rotation around Grayson Rodriguez to we'll give him away for a rental of a kind of okay hitter. Understand that it's always something with Grayson Rodriguez. It's just more the whole of the look.
By the way, I'll jump on it now. Taylor Ward opening day home run for sure. Just had a baby as well, so he's gonna have the dad strength on Thursday.
Well, I mean, if I would bet anything,
Tyler
O'Neill's
but that one's
3.
a given. That's a given.
Yeah, right. I don't even know what the odds.
That's not a good bet.
I don't even know what the odds are for Tyler O'Neill because
it's gonna be minus. Yeah, it's gonna be a favorite. It's gonna be
100%. You're gonna get like minus 250 on Tyler O'Neill hitting home run on opening day because it's all he ever does. Yes, I don't think that Colton Cowser should get a plaque. Other thoughts, I didn't get to go yesterday. I said we went to the Towson baseball game because we wanted to take the dog. Literally, that's what it came down to, is we wanted to spend the day with our dog. That was it. Like, in the morning, we were like, I even mentioned, I'm like, well, we could go to the Orioles exhibition game. But it wasn't Bark in the Park day, so I said, let's go to the Towson game. We could take the pup. Everybody was very happy with the sound system. Talked to a few folks who were at the game who were raving about the sound system. That is great news. The what are they calling it? The video board looked great, and then they have like a sponsor for, they call it the pavilion underneath the video board, which people seem to be very happy with as well. Although again, it's not always going to be a social area because there will be games where it'll be rented out, so you won't be able to use that pavilion area underneath the scoreboard. But I get it. That's the thing now, to have more social spaces within stadiums, within arenas, places where people can kind of hang out and get drinks and mingle and, I don't know, do whatever they do. When I was younger, man, I probably would have loved it. I know my friend Rita, that's her jam. Like, by the way, Rita's weird. Like, Rita will go just hang out at the bar, and she will pay money for tickets to the game, watch 2 innings, start walking around the stadium after 2 innings, and then go sit at the bar in what used to be Dempsey's, and I don't even know what they're calling that. Whatever that is these days.
Is this Utah Street something?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Like, she'll just go sit there. You can't see the game. It's just on a screen, the same way you could watch it from home. But that's what she likes to do. That's her baseball watching experience. So I've done it with her a couple of times. All good. I do like watching the game. I do like – one time, in fact, Rita's boyfriend and I told her, you go right on ahead. We're going to stay. We'll be here. We're going to choose to watch the game. You enjoy the rest of your evening doing whatever it is that you want to do. But that's cool. I certainly do not judge. But everybody seemed to be very happy with that. Rave reviews about the idea that they gave the park a facelift without changing the DNA of the stadium, which is, I think, what we could ask for. Now, they did it with our money, for being fair. $600 million. But that's what you're looking for when you have a beautiful ballpark and a historic ballpark that does need a little bit of an upkeep, does need to take a bit of a step forward, but doesn't need to be completely revamped and completely redone. So those are all good things, and everybody else will get to see it on Thursday for opening day. Today's show also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. The mania continues this week inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. The best place to watch all of the basketball is right there at Sports and Social with the 100-foot media wall, as well as the great food and drink specials and interactive games giveaways during every contest. If you're not headed to opening day, maybe you make a day out of it on Thursday. Baseball right into basketball seems pretty good to me. Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about not only the Dean Kremer situation, but where the Orioles stand going into opening day. He is our friend, former Baltimore Orioles pitcher and Baltimore's own Mr. Steve Johnson, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm very excited. I'm sure you're very fired up about Alex Ovechkin reaching 1,000 career goals.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I almost went to that game, but got busy. But yeah,
it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing that happens when you have babies. When you start spawning,
I know.
It's just crazy how that works.
Yeah, just like she's supposed to be on a nap right now, but got up.
Oh,
so she's. So if you hear anything,
it's all right.
It's probably it's just she's in my arms right now.
Oh,
so
that's
the quietest she'll be.
That's adorable. Tell her I said hello.
I will do.
All right. Let's talk about Dean Kremer, right? Because I am not worked up personally. I think there's a lot of guys, maybe some guys on the phone, who have been through things like this before, and it's a bummer. I have no doubt that Dean Kremer is probably not thrilled about having been sent to the minors, but this is baseball, and these things happen, and I think Dean Kremer is going to have to make a lot of really important starts for the Orioles this year, so I just can't get all that worked up about it.
Yeah, it's tough for someone that's been on the team for as long as he has without getting sent down. I think it's just an unfortunate thing that all of the other guys that they got in the rotation either are out of options. I mean, they may all be out of options, but or they're just maybe a little, higher status than he is. So I think that's really the unfortunate part. But also, if you would have said at some point that we have to send Kremer down because we have too many other good options, I think everyone would be pretty happy about that. And, it's just unfortunate for his circumstances.
Right. Again, bummer for him, but for the Orioles, what an amazing problem to have, right? What a phenomenal problem to have. I'll ask it this way because I do feel like I'm going to guess, and you tell me, I'm going to guess that if you went to Dean Kremer and said, Dean, would you rather go down and stay stretched out in the minors or just pitch out of the bullpen? If I had to guess, he would say, I would rather be pitching out of the bullpen in the bigs. Mike Elias said, yeah, but we need these guys to stay. We need him to stay stretched out because we're going to need him to make a start pretty soon. Is it logical to you that this would be the choice instead of having him pitch like a long man roll out of the bullpen?
Yeah, I think it'd be better for the Orioles definitely to have him stretched out, and I think for him, and injuries happen. You have a bunch of guys who are, possibly, you miss a start here and there. There's going to be plenty of times for him to come up and get a start in. And I think that makes the most sense overall for everybody. And I think he would rather have his starter role than be going back and forth, in the bullpen and back to that's a hard thing to do, especially if you haven't done it in a while. So I think for him, he'll probably end up making a couple starts in a row, and you just never know where that season ends up and what you need. So I think having him as like the first option up is, I think, would make everyone comfortable.
And I'm going to guess they even have a plan for that. Like, I think they know they're going to go to a 6-man rotation because, as we talked about, like they have to watch Kyle Bradish in particular's innings as the season goes on. Like, you can't go from throwing 71 innings over 2 years to 200 innings. It's not possible. I think they know they have to have a plan for that. And I think that they probably already mapped it out, that Dean Kremer, it's not going to be very long before Dean Kremer is making a start in Baltimore, even if everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, I think they'll probably have their time to pick their spots based on off days and, roster manipulation that they can do. There's probably plenty of times for them to be able to come up and have him pop up there, and to have that luxury is big. And also, I feel like Dean has struggled in that first part of the month as well. So point. I mean, he's consistent overall. I kind of tell that to everybody. You look at his stats, you pretty much know what you're going to get through the course of the season, which is pretty awesome, in terms of just consistency. But I think that first month of the season was was always a struggle for him,
no question.
And then he'd even out. So, the fact that he's maybe kind of doing that in the minors, possibly getting right, and then hopefully being able to continue on what he's been able to do through the course of the season is a good option.
Steve Johnson is with us. And by the way, it might also mean that at some point later on in the season, based on off days, that he gets sent down again, which, if again, would be a great problem to have because it means everybody stayed healthy and everybody's pitching the way they're supposed to. That would be a tremendous problem if that ends up being the case. Steve Johnson is with us here on GCR. Steve, obviously, as you point out, when we say the words good problem to have, it is because it's been a very long time since we have seen this many qualified starters in the Orioles rotation. As far as depth is concerned, it is a game changer. It's why I don't believe the Orioles will be out of it. I don't see them bottoming out with this many qualified Major League starters. The trade-off is, of course, the questions about the top of the rotation. How confident are you that between Rogers, Bradish, I don't know, maybe Shane Baz, that there is a definite, one, a two, they legitimately have guys that are ready to be game changers every fifth day, whether you want to use the word ace or not, top of the rotation type of starters there?
Yeah, I fully believe that really you need a top 1 and 2, and if I know there's ifs, but there's ifs in any situation. But if you got Rogers and Bradish pitch to what they can pitch to, which that's a solid top 2 for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Bradish before he got injured he was one of the top 5 pitchers in the AL. I feel like, and your Rogers pitching to what he pitched to last year. If they both do anything close to that, they're just in a great spot. And if the bottom 3 guys do anything that they're supposed to do, then I think they have a really good rotation. It's crazy to think about that with all the, everyone putting into, they don't have enough pitching, they don't have enough starters, and all of a sudden you see where we are right now, and they're in a really good spot as long as everyone does what they're supposed to do. But you can say that about literally any team and any pitcher. So it's just, you got to have somewhat of confidence that they're going to be able to put close to the stats and performances that they've done in the past.
We had a really interesting conversation, you and I, on WBAL a couple weeks back about Tyler Wells, and you projected or painted a scenario for me that was fascinating, which is that he's kind of a little bit of both, right? He's both a leverage guy and he's an innings guy, and suggested that there can be this in-between role where maybe you come in a leverage spot in the middle of a game in the 6th inning, but you stay stretched out by then also pitching the 7th after that, and it's something that I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about. does your thought change at all with Andrew Kittredge's injury and the lack of like known commodities as far as leverage arms? And I know Kittredge is not supposed to be out long. He might even start the season on a rehab assignment. Are you more inclined to move Wells to a defined like eighth inning role, or do you still think it makes sense to try to keep him stretched out, again, knowing that injuries happen, should you need him to start at some point this season?
I just think it's a lot harder to continue to have guys get stretched out, and there's certain guys on the team that have only had that one to possibly 2 inning role, where there's very few guys that can do that longer inning role. So I think it's just more valuable to have him, possibly do both, see where the season leads to. But again, keeping the game close when a starter goes out, even when they it may be, hey, it's 5-1 in the fourth. It's like, okay, well, you keep that game close and the offense does what it's supposed to do, and now all of a sudden it's a 1-run game. So I think that's such a valuable thing that I think not everyone can do. That's the only reason why I kind of say that, is just that longer role is just not, it's not for everybody. And I think you have more guys that can do a 1-inning stint than you can, someone you trust to go 3 or 4.
Dude, I know you're right. And obviously I know you know more about baseball than I do. Like, I recognize both of those things. I just struggle with there's almost if Ryan Helsley looks like the Mets version of Ryan Helsley, to me, Tyler Wells is like the number 2 closing option on this team, right? Like, he's done it a little bit before. We know he has the stuff and the temperament to be able to do it. There's just like this part of me that just really wants to see him in those leverage spots,
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing that says he can't start there and then end up going somewhere else, or kind of being that all around, do whatever we need you to do for the first month till we figure things out. That's possibly too. It's tough to get fully stretched out. But you can start with a 2-inning, 3-inning stint, and slowly get innings built up to be able to kind of do both if you need it. But I think you can always start somewhere and then go somewhere else mid-season. I think the season changes so much. You just got to pick where you are right now with your rotation, with your bullpen, and say, hey, we need this for a month. We'll see where we are when we get there.
I get it entirely. Where are you with Cano, right? Because I know he's looked good in the spring, but man, it is just hard for me to trust Junior Cano right now.
I just look at stuff, and he still has the stuff.
That's true.
But yeah, I think there's the trust has taken a hit. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's, just 1 year removed for the most part.
Yeah.
And it could have been a rough year. We've seen rough years on almost everybody on this team at some point. So, new year, possible off season, kind of throw that last year away and see where we end up being. But he'll, have to earn the trust of everybody. So, he could possibly get back to that role of being that late inning guy, but I don't think he's there right now.
All right, so now I present to you the $1 million question, right? Oh, hi. Oh, she's adorable. God, she's adorable. All right, so what I want to know is, give me the question that you want the answer to from this team, right? That, like, you're most interested in the first month of the season. What's the most interesting thing? Obviously, they need to win games. They can't get off to the start they got off to a year ago. But beyond just wins and losses, what's the thing that you're going to be looking at that might, to you, have the most to do with what this team is capable of doing as the season goes on?
For me, I'd like to see the offense do what it's supposed to do. All the guys in that lineup, I think everyone struggled at some point last year and maybe didn't have their best. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. It was a lot going on with the whole roster.
Yeah.
But I just feel like they're the ones that are supposed to be the guys that the team's built around. And I just, Gunnar's obviously, he was off to a good start. We saw that. But just that as the whole team as a whole, that whole lineup. You got some big guys in there in the middle of the lineup, hopefully take some pressure off some of the younger guys who've been there for a while. And I just want to see them come out and just take off. And I think if they do that early, it makes it easier for the pitchers. And I think that everyone will feel a little bit better.
You want to remind everybody about Optimal Baseball Performance?
Yep, Optimal Baseball Performance. We're up in Bel Air, just trying to make young baseball players a little bit better, make them have a little bit more fun doing it.
Of course, optimalbaseball.com is the website for you to find out more. It's been wonderful. I need to get my own son to take things a bit more seriously, baseball-wise, as Steve knows well. And then hopefully he'll be right back in the program. We're monitoring this season, Steve, and seeing how things go. It's
let him have some fun.
I want him to have fun. I just need him to show that he wants to actually get better and doesn't just want to goof around. And I get it.
Yeah.
You know who his father is.
Fair.
So
that's fair.
You can understand what he's dealing with, but I just need him to show me that a little bit moving forward. Love you, brother. Always appreciate you. Are you going to be there Thursday?
I'll be there.
All right. I'll make sure we say hello. Maybe I'll make you come hang out with Keith Mills and I beforehand. I might try to work that on somehow.
Let me know.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
All right. See you.
Steve Johnson with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us. Yeah, I'm going to be we got a busy run in here real quick, Colson. Real quick. What can we tell anybody about Thursday? What are we saying?
We're going to be live there from 9 to 11.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. On Porter Street.
All right, Quigley's Half Irish Pub.
Half Irish because he's half Irish.
Yes, 100%. We're going to be there.
We're going to be there.
And by we mean
you,
me,
and Griffin.
Griffin? We're taking Griffin with us?
Yeah, and me.
And you?
Yeah, I'll be your Boy Friday.
Oh, we're gonna need some Boy Friday.
Well, I'm gonna tell you
we're
this.
We're gonna need some.
The chances of this being worth watching are going to be significantly high because all kinds of stuff could go nuts.
With the worst case scenario is that we record it and we we air it later or something like that, or post it later. We've got options.
Yes, we do.
What we're gonna be there. And so we want other people to come join us on Friday.
Well, and there's
Thursday.
a prize.
Right. Well, we're getting to that.
Yeah.
That's the important part. So we're going to be there starting at 9 a.m. on Thursday at Quigley's Half Irish Pub, as Griffin is showing you. That's a picture of an advertisement.
Correct.
We'll be there. Thanks to Live Casino and Hotel.
Correct.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Byron Warnken.
Warnken Law. We love Warnken.
We
Thanks
appreciate
to Warnken
this.
Law
So those
for
two.
That possible.
Those two.
Might have a special guest or two stopping
by
during the
Griffin,
course of the morning.
how's that going?
Yeah? I think at least one, yeah.
Yeah, I think Bordy, I think is coming by for sure.
Bordy should be able to stop by.
Bordy's going to
That's
be stopping
very
by
cool.
on Thursday and hanging out with us. We will either be broadcasting live or we will be recording a live podcast that will air and be live before 3 o'clock. So you can watch it before
So it'll either be live or almost live.
Yeah, live to tape, if you will.
Okay.
One of the other.
Or really live.
Right,
or
correct. One of the
almost
other.
live.
We can't promise.
No promises.
It's we got a lot of stuff going on.
No promises. Do you have an extension cord?
We can get them. But we're also giving away cash money.
Cash money and a prize from Live Casino.
So tell me about this.
So if somebody comes or if a group of people come, if you come dressed representing a polar bear in some way, it could be little ears to a full-out polar bear costume.
So are we picking the best polar bear costume?
We are picking the best polar bear.
Best polar bear costume.
Or representation as chosen by, like, you and Griffin.
Okay.
And the guy from Quigley's.
Yes.
And they'll get $250 in cash.
In cash.
In cash. Well,
money.
Venmo to them.
Well,
to be fair, or
we
Zelle
don't really
or Venmo.
It's not really a cash society anymore.
Everything but cash.
Although I
don't
hear
do
there's the House delegates trying to change that. They want to force businesses to do cash.
Really?
Yeah, you know I'm on WBAL.
Yeah,
so I'm on top of all these things. Yes, they're working on a law that would force businesses to have to accept cash for any transaction $300 or less.
Ah,
that's a
good.
thing they're working
Good.
on.
I
Don't
guess
fix child
Hey,
crime.
easy over
Oh,
there.
okay.
Easy over there.
Yep.
Easy over
You know what
there.
else they're voting on? I gotta say it.
Yeah. All right. No.
No.
I
They're
take
voting
it back.
today. No, it's funny.
Take it.
That zebras can't be pets. That's
you know what?
Damn it.
I
What
gotta
am I
be
supposed
honest.
to?
I agree.
I agree too.
I agree.
But I think if
agree.
you're dumb enough to have a zebra as a pet,
there's
you
something to be
deserve
said
what
for
you
that.
get.
Anyway,
Okay,
the moral of the story is $250
plus
in electronic cash.
Plus a gift card for $100 to food and beverage services at any of the live casino places to eat.
Wait, like the prime rib?
It's a live casino place
Holy
to eat. Yep.
smokes.
So 100 simoleons.
Now, who's eligible to win these prizes?
Anybody that comes dressed as a polar bear.
Like I'm saying, like, is your old pal GC?
If we come
eligible?
dressed,
If you
Well,
come
boy.
dressed as a polar bear, you
Son
can
of a
be
bitch.
considered.
And we're on the voting committee. And
Yeah,
that's
right. We can rig this contest.
So truth is,
Mhm.
only a limited number of people are going to show
That's a
up
great
dressed
point.
as a polar bear.
So if
you choose to
if you
do
were
that,
planning
you're
on going
gonna,
to the game dressed as a polar bear on Thursday, I would recommend you
Or
stop
ev-
by Quigley's.
or even representing. I
what
mean, like
time? What time are we doing the
9 to 11.
But the contest itself.
It'll be over at noon,
I'm so like you're saying,
between 9 a.m. and noon.
but I like when if people because people are making rounds.
Right.
When should
right.
we encourage?
I
them? If
think
they're-
11:30 would be
11
the
if
time.
you are dressing as a polar bear on Thursday, I would be at Quigley's by 11:30.
Yes.
By 11:30 on
Yes.
Thursday, make an appearance at Quigley's
Yes.
so you can win $250 in cash and $100.
And if somebody has polar bear obligations, for
Mhm.
instance,
Mhm.
and they show up at
What are polar
9:30,
bear obligation.
well, they show up. Yes, you never know.
Gonna go to the zoo. Is
Good.
that what we're
Correct.
talking about?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We'll take a picture of them.
You don't
And
have
we'll-
to be present.
Correct.
At
You
the
don't have
time
to be
of
present
the,
to win. You have to come by.
Anyone who stops by Quigley's
Correct.
between 9 and 11:30, dressed as a polar bear,
Yes.
will be eligible to win.
250 cash. Venmo. Oh.
And maybe some other giveaways during the course of the
and
morning.
then anybody who shows up with this polar bear will, outfit type
Yeah.
thing, whether you win or not, will get a T-shirt from us.
How
one
about
of the
that?
crabs and beer T-shirts.
Anyone with any polar bear themed, if you
Yep.
have any polar bear
Yep.
theme to what you're wearing, you get a Crabs Beer Game Day T-shirt.
Correct.
From us at Press Box.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on. Quigley's Half Irish Pub, which is located.
correct. On Porter Street. It's right near the Babe Ruth Museum.
Stop by.
Hold on, I can
starting-
give you the exact
Yeah,
address
right.
if I were to look. 633 Portland. I said Porter. Portland Street.
Stop by.
633 Portland Street.
Starting at 9 a.m. through noon on
Correct.
Thursday. But by 11:30, if you want to win, stop
Right.
by Quigley's, and we'll be there hanging out, and we look forward
And
to
just
seeing
for
you.
context,
Yes.
Portland Street essentially ends looking at the Brooks Robinson statue.
Right.
Right where Pickles is. That's where Portland Street ends.
So you're just
and then
going-
it goes back towards the
Correct.
Babe Ruth Museum.
Correct. So that's
Yeah.
the direction that you're headed.
Yeah. So it's right there in the middle of everything.
We're very excited.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
hardcore like fresh fruit orange crushes, grapefruit crushes.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's going to be the crush.
Griffin might not
headquarters.
make it to the game.
Right now, I think it's looking like it's going to be 66 and sunny.
Oh,
Sounds like
Yeah.
a good day. Sounds like a
Yeah.
good day.
be even better if
Perfect
it
day
was
for an
like
orange crush.
67 degrees. Maybe.
We're gonna
there
be
you
we're
go.
gonna be at like a card table with a sheet over it, a couple of microphones.
Hey, brother, we're going to make it work. Whatever we got to do. This is going to be Griffin's finest hour. He's going to be.
Got a lot of fine hours, I think.
That's
Yeah.
true, but this
That's
is going to be your
right.
finest.
Okay.
This
That's
is going
right.
to be the finest. All right.
Okay,
I can't
gentlemen.
wait.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. As that'll be Thursday. So Griffin, why don't you try calling the other person?
Okay. All right. We'll see.
See what happens, and then we go from there. We're doing some live producing right in the show. Thursday morning. That's the important part. Quigley's Half Irish Pub. And the most important part is that you wear some sort of polar bear themed apparel and you check in with us and you'll be registered to win the grand prize of $250 and another $100 in food and beverage credit from Live Casino and Hotel. God, what a day. And again, anybody that shows up wearing polar bear attire, anyone at all who shows up will receive a Crabs Beer Game Day T-shirt courtesy of us at Press Box. Seems like a pretty good way to spend your opening day, if you ask me. All right? Look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Now, that said, back to the conversation. As this morning, or actually it was over the weekend, we had learned a little bit about perhaps an attempt that the Orioles made to lock up their young superstar. Joining us now, he covers Major League Baseball for the New York Post, and you see him, of course, on MLB Network. He's one of the busiest men in show business, so appreciate Jon Heyman squeezing in a couple minutes with us this morning. John, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Oh, sure, Glenn. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's we're 3 days away from opening day. How could life be any better, right? Like, this is the time that we live for. This is what it's all about. John, this is fascinating.
I guess so. We could be 2 days away.
That's true. It's a good point. I will be more excited on Wednesday. You're right. That's a good point. John, this is fascinating because I think this is the thing, and we obviously saw the Orioles do it with Samuel Basayo a year ago, but this is the thing that we've been waiting to see this organization do. Obviously, you can't force a player to sign, and we understand that it's particularly difficult with Scott Boras, but how encouraged should Orioles fans be by at least the effort that ownership is making in order to try to keep Gunnar Henderson around?
Yeah, I think the effort has been terrific by ownership in several regards. I mean, they went out and made trades. They did free agency. They spent significant dollars. They've tried to spend even more dollars. They tried for Ranger Suarez. I think they offered him $125 million. He got a little bit more with the Red Sox. It's a good effort. And I think they made, from what I understand, a decent effort with Gunnar Henderson. I don't know that it was ever close, but yeah, it's going to be difficult, obviously, when you've got a player of that caliber who's a position player to lock him up. But my understanding is the effort was better than, let's say, the Tigers' 4-year, $75 million offer a couple of years ago for Skubal. That wasn't going to be anywhere close. At least the Orioles are making a legitimate effort, and, I give them credit. Are they going to be able to do it now? Now that he's closer to free agency, it's pretty hard.
Is there any, thought that, hey, maybe this means that if for some reason Jackson Holliday has an outstanding season this year, that there should be a thought that perhaps the Orioles are willing to attempt to do it there?
Well, I give them credit. They seem to be willing to attempt to do a lot of things to enhance the team. It's obviously not a major market, and the change in ownership is just an enormous difference for them. Jackson Holliday, a very young guy, who's also a position player, also had Scott Boras. We shall see. At this point, he hasn't become that star yet that you'd probably go for that big lockup contract. But, at some point, maybe, as you said, after the year, you would try it. Obviously he didn't grow up poor. He is in a desperate situation. Yeah. We know his father was a Major League Baseball star. It might even be more difficult for somebody like that.
No, you're probably right about that. He does not need to take whatever money is offered to him. John, I pose this all to say, if this means definitively that Gunnar Henderson, Scott Boras, they've decided, look, we're gonna get the free agency. That means you've got a couple more years, obviously, following this year, as he wouldn't become a free agent until 2029. Do you get the idea that the Orioles are then maybe try to make it a proverbial all-in, that as you might remember, this is the thing that was very frustrating about the late Manny Machado seasons, where it never seemed like the Orioles were going all in. But do you feel like the Orioles, they already made the Pete Alonso move, would be willing to say, hey, we need to identify this as our timeline, and we need to be very aggressive in order to succeed before Gunnar Henderson would leave?
Yeah, I think if you wait too close to free agency, or certainly free agency, it's going to be difficult for a small market team to sign a big star like that. I think the ship has already sailed. For example, on Paul Skeens and the Pirates.
Yep.
He's 4 years from free agency, but that's a small market. He's certainly at this point a $50 million a year player. That's half their payroll. So I think that ship has already sailed. I'm not going to say that with Gunnar at this point. He isn't quite as big a star as Paul Skeens at this point. So I'm not going to say the ship has sailed, but it's certainly going to not be easy for them to do it. I mean, there are rare teams that are able to do it with these mega stars, young, small market teams. The Royals did it with Bobby Witt Jr. He also didn't grow up poor with his dad as a Major League Baseball player and agent. But he didn't have Scott Boras. Obviously, he had his father as his agent. So it's a little bit different situation.
But I guess, John, I mean, more like if they know that they can't get it done, does it feel like they need to recognize that this is their window? Like you have now a 3-year opportunity with a young superstar that is on obviously friendly arbitration numbers moving forward, that you need to surround him with as much as you can to try to win a World Series in these next 3 seasons?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like they're doing that. I mean, I think they put in a great effort to sign Alonso, to get Taylor Ward, to get Bassett, to get Paz. I think they've tried for some others. They just missed out on some other big pitchers. I think they are putting in a big effort for a small market team, and I do give them credit for that. As far as signing him, I think the window is probably going to close pretty soon.
Yeah.
They probably should make an effort right about now if they're going to do it, because let's say he comes out here and hits 30 home runs and hits 280. It plays a great shortstop this year. I think by next winter, I'd probably put him in that schemes category where the ship has sailed.
And then at some point, you either have to trade him or you, again, got to go try to win a World Series with him. And hopefully that's what the Orioles are going to do. Jon Heyman is with us here on GCR. John, it's interesting. Obviously, you're up in New York. You spend a lot of time that way. It's funny because I talk to a lot of folks about Pete Alonso, and we all know what he brought as a baseball player. But what a lot of guys said was, look, Pete hasn't been required to be like the leader of the clubhouse. And it seemed like from day one, he has really taken on that responsibility quite personally here in Baltimore. What did you make of the culture fit for Pete Alonso beyond what he's going to bring from a baseball standpoint, and how much his presence can make a difference for the Orioles moving forward?
Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, I think he's a terrific guy for a team. I think he leads by example. It's amazing that he plays every single day with all of the nicks that you go through as a major league ball player. I mean, obviously, you guys have the oldest example there with Cal Ripken Jr. Nobody's going to be Cal Ripken Jr., but he's the closest thing in terms of staying on the field. I remember when they said he was out 8 weeks, and he was only out 2 weeks. And last year, to schedule the birth of his first child for after a game so that he wouldn't miss one game. I mean, that's amazing dedication. So I think that is great leadership. Obviously it's a younger team than the Mets team. I think it's certainly a different fit. And, he may move the leadership beyond that. But I certainly think he's a very good guy. And he's, in my view, as someone who saw him with the Mets for a long time, he leads by example more than vocally.
Right.
Obviously, the Mets have Lindor, and they have Nimmo, and they have big stars, and it's a different situation in Baltimore, and he may take a different approach.
John, the Orioles have as much pitching as they've ever had in recent memory, right? Now, it's not Palmer, McNally, Cuellar, Dobson, but they've got as many qualified major league starters as we have seen in a very long time. I guess the only question now is, do they have enough top end of the rotation pitching that they can compete to win maybe the toughest division in baseball or be a championship contender?
Yeah, I see them as a contender for a playoff spot. They're in a tough division. They've always been in a tough division. I do think they have a shot at it. I do see potentially 4 teams with a shot, although Toronto's got so many pitching issues right now. I'm going to be surprised if they end up winning it. To me, Baltimore is probably in the top 3 in a very good division, and no team is a Dodger powerhouse. Once Cole and Rodon and Schmidt come back, I mean, at least on paper, the Yankees look like the best team, but the Baltimore is a very, very good team. And even if you finish 3rd, you still could make the playoffs very easily. So I think they've improved significantly. They've improved as much or more than anybody in the league. And I think they're in very, very good hands and very, very good position right now.
Does it require, if you're going to make a run in the postseason, does it require them adding another, like an ace type? Or again, can you just do it with having a qualified major league pitchers, even if they're not your traditional aces?
I think it's certainly possible. Teams have done it before. Is it likely they win the World Series? I'm not going to say that, but I do think they have a shot to make the playoffs. And there is no, not that I identified a likely 100-win team in the American League. There isn't that type of powerhouse. I think the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Tigers, And the Rangers and the Mariners are also very good teams. It feels like the American League is the deeper league this year. Last year it felt like the National League was, although Cincinnati sneaked in there with, I believe, 83 wins. Maybe it was 84, but it wasn't a lot. It felt like there was more talent in the National League, but in this winter, the American League teams really did a lot more. Baltimore did as much as anybody, and they could – you never know. I mean, we've seen teams rise up and make the World Series that didn't look like they had a perfect roster. Diamondbacks a couple of years ago. So it is possible, and they should be a good team. That said, I named about 7 or 8 teams in the American League who look like very good teams.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy league right now.
John, this is from a listener. It's a good question. Chris said, is there a number that you think would get it done with Gunnar Henderson, even with Scott Boras, even with being only 3 years away? Like, is there and God, we've seen what contracts have been in recent years. Is there some sort of number that if the Orioles were to offer it, you think that his camp would say, oh, the hell with free agency, we've got to take this deal?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to take a little closer look at it. Bobby Witt Jr. got something over $200 million. I don't have it in front of me, but he signed earlier. While Gunnar Henderson hasn't proven to be a better player than Bobby Witt Jr. at this point, he is closer to free agency, and I think you probably have to look at that contract and probably go up from there. Unless I took a closer look at that particular circumstance, I wouldn't name a figure, but at this point, I would say that's probably the baseline of what we're looking at.
Witt was 11 years, $288 for Witt, which again, at the moment, you're looking at and being like, oh God, that looks great, right? Like, jeez, what a win that appears to be for the Royals.
That looks like a good deal.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's $470 million less than Juan Soto, right? And obviously he was years from free agency, totally different circumstance. But Bobby Witt Jr. is at least the equal of Juan Soto, right? That's not a fair comparison. Juan Soto was a free agent at age, I don't know, as a free agent, was he 24, 25?
Yeah.
Very young. It's a different situation, but that deal at this moment looks very, very good. At the time, I didn't blame him. I didn't say how ridiculous, as I have with some in the past. I didn't blame him, but obviously his dad was a ball player, so he shouldn't have been desperate.
And an agent, right?
I don't know. But
and his dad's an agent. So
an agent. His dad is an agent, and that's a bad situation. So give the Royals credit.
Man.
They were able to figure that out with a player who's, one of the top 3 or 4 players in baseball. That's all around. He's spectacular. And defensively, I don't think there'd be an argument for anybody else at this point at shortstop.
Jon Heyman, what all can I plug for you, sir?
Just the usual New York Post baseball columnist, MLB Network Insider, and do Bleacher Report live stream once a week as well.
At Jon Heyman, of course, is how you follow him. John, know you're a busy man. Thank you for squeezing us in this morning. We really appreciate you doing this.
All right, thanks, Wayne. See you later.
That's Jon Heyman with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time. And, over the weekend reported that last spring the Orioles attempted to lock up Gunnar Henderson. We're talking hoops. We come back in. Patrick Stevens joins us next. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
This is Stan the Fan. We talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now. On the cover, Dave Ginsburg chats with Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. about his life now at the age of 65, his role with the Orioles ownership group, and much more. Also inside, Bill Ordine helps us learn more about new Ravens head coach Jesse Minter. Luke Jackson finds out about new Orioles slugger Pete Alonso from those who have played with him, and we meet college lacrosse players from programs all across the area. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
March Mania is on at Live Casino. And you can get a front row seat for all the action at Sports and Social. Raise your game with massive wall-to-wall TVs. And raise a cheer with your favorite beers, cocktails, and an all-star menu. Best of all, you could win huge prizes every game. Don't get benched. Book your table at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along. Great timing. Great timing, John. Appreciate it. Right as I was coming back from break. Yeah.
I want to add one thing to the polar bear contest.
Yes.
All polar bears must be 21 or older.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Because bar, casino.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yes, this is only for
no child polar bears.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that we we're doing this polar bear contest on Thursday for the best polar bear costume. And the winner gets $250 cash and $100 in food and beverage credit from Live Casino and Hotel. But you must be 21 or over to win. You must be 21 over to enter. That's the reality. That's what's going on, courtesy of Live Casino and Hotel. So, again, best polar bear costume. Anyone who is dressed in anything that resembles polar bear will be registered to win. That's Thursday morning, starting at 9 a.m. at Quigley's Half Irish Pub, getting ready for opening day. 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. I guess technically 3. But we're down to the Sweet 16 is the point in the NCAA tournament. Joining us now, he, of course, covers college basketball for the Raleigh News and Observer. He is our friend, Mr. Patrick Stevens, who you follow at Discourse on social, and he is with us once again on GCR. Patrick, how are you, sir? Thank you for taking the time.
I'm well. How are you, Glenn?
I'm all right. I know there's a lot of, consternation. The NCAA tournament isn't what it was because there's not shocking upsets every round. My gut tells me this is more a cyclical thing and that next year there could be a 15-over-2 upset. My God, Siena went with Duke for, 36 minutes. That this is not the end just because you don't have, schools that get to have 4-year guys that are mid-majors for the most part anymore. I don't think it guarantees that never happens again. I think there have been years where that hasn't happened when you've had those types of players over the years.
Well, there's a couple ways of looking at this. There's this sort of binary, did they win or did they not win? Was there an upset or wasn't there an upset issue? And I suspect that those things will kind of come and go, although having now 2 consecutive years where you don't get a 1 through 4 seed lose in the first round. That's the first time that's happened since the field expanded to 64 back in 1985. But I think the greater issue is there were a lot of duds. There were a lot of 20, 25-point games. There were, I think it was 6 or 7 teams that scored 100 points in the first round, which is a remarkable number. And certainly fun to see, Michigan flying up and down the court and St. Louis putting it to Georgia and stuff like that. But, I think that is maybe the bigger issue, is that once you got from that Kentucky Santa Clara game on Friday, and most of the rest of the Friday games weren't very good, and most of the games Saturday weren't very good up until you got to those last 2 games. I think that's a bigger problem, that you just don't have as many good games and as riveting games, regardless of whether it's an 8-9 game or a 2-15 game, whether it's a 1-9 game or whether it's a 4-5 game. So, there were certainly some really good games over the course of the first 4 days, or the first 4 full days. I mean, the Vanderbilt-Nebraska game was fantastic. The Kentucky-Santa Clara game was fantastic. There were also a lot of games you could have done without.
Yep, that's fair. And I guess when you have like a full window, and it felt like, for example, Friday night was one of those. There was like 8 games, and none of them were any good. And so that kind of wears on you if that's how you're spending your evening watching basketball. Biggest takeaways for you? I assume that Florida is the only like real title contender that has gone by the wayside to this point, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought you were looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 teams total to start off with, depending on how you felt that you thought could realistically win a national title, depending on how you felt about like an Iowa State or a Purdue, or if you wanted to dig down into the 3 line and pick somebody off of there like an Illinois, who I'm not a huge fan of, like being able to actually go all the way, or a Michigan State. And so, yeah, Florida's gone, and pretty much everybody else is still around. You look at each region. Each region has 3 of the top 4 seeds, and then somebody else who happens to have hung around. St. John's is a 5 over a 4. Tennessee is a 6. Iowa having pulled that upset, and then Texas kind of being a bit of a surprise here, having won 3 games now in this tournament, and managing to make its way to the Sweet 16 in its first year under Sean Miller. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think the state of play has really changed a whole lot here. I think Purdue probably has a more manageable second game, or round of 16 game than it might have guessed it might. But I don't think Tennessee is that much more of a treat for Iowa State than Virginia would have been. And I certainly don't think that St. John's is any easier for Duke to deal with than Kansas would have been. So maybe that you do have a bit of a wild card with Iowa or Nebraska. One of those 2 is going to be in the Elite 8. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot that you're really looking at a whole lot differently than a week ago.
I was going to ask you this way, and I think maybe what you just said about Purdue perhaps answers that. But is there someone who maybe we didn't feel as strongly about as a viable title contender that after watching them for a couple of rounds we should consider more, or to your point, just because of their path being a bit clearer?
Well, I think Iowa State, the way it played in its 2 games, stands out. They just clobbered Tennessee State, and they put it to Kentucky, took full advantage of Kentucky's point guard problems. I think you got a reminder that, depending on which version of Alabama shows up, that's a team that you might have to think about a little bit. Purdue handled its business. Basically, you were kind of wondering, was it going to be one of those you win 4 games in 4 days and flame out? No, didn't quite work out that way. And I would also tell you that Houston has just gone and done what it was supposed to do. And you're sitting there and you're kind of looking at that South Regional with the 3 Big Ten teams, and it's not hard to imagine the Cougars just bottling both of the teams that they have to play up and suddenly finding themselves in a situation where they've just kind of rolled into it, yet another Final Four. So I think that those are kind of the teams that stand out on that front.
Patrick Stevens is with us here on GCR. Patrick, does Iowa State's hopes, do they have to have Joshua Jefferson for that? Could they? I mean, they looked really good without him yesterday, obviously, but do they need him to be a viable title contender?
I think they do, and they might need him as soon as the Thursday night against Thursday night, or is it? I'm sorry, they play Friday. Sorry, Friday night against Tennessee. So Tennessee's a team that kind of wobbled its way through a little bit. Like, they had some good moments and maybe had some moments where they weren't quite as good as you thought they were going to be, but they're still pretty good, and you're probably going to need to play well to beat them. And then if you're sitting there staring at Michigan or Alabama in a regional final, I think you need to be at full strength to beat one of those two teams.
To your point, Jacoby Gillespie is decent.
Above average.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Why can't Maryland get guys like that?
Jeez, man. Worth every penny that they spent on Jacoby Gillespie. He has been outstanding. I know one of the other big storylines that's come out of the first week of the NCAA tournament has been some of the comments that have been made about scheduling, and particularly some of Flynn Clayman's promos that he cut about scheduling. What is your take about this conversation in general, about the difficulty of high mid-majors getting games, about how you then judge them based on their inability to get games, and do you factor that into where you seed teams? What is the adult conversation to have about this topic?
Well, the reality is that you can't force somebody to schedule somebody unless they're in your league, right? And even in some leagues at this point, they're so big that you're actually missing teams inside your league.
Right.
Like Virginia and Clemson didn't play this season, as an example, in the ACC. So, I would point out that yes, it would be nice, if teams would take the classic Izzo approach, but some of it is because the leagues are so big and the conference schedules are so large, there's fewer games that these teams have to work with. And so, if you let's take the Maryland example, right? You have 20 league games. So now the schedule expands to 32 games next year. You got 12 games left. Well, you're going to go do a multi-team event, and you're going to play 3 games out there. And you're probably going to want to schedule yourself 3 or 4 guineas at some point, right? There's certain spots on the schedule where it just doesn't make sense to really put yourself on a spot. I think playing anybody with a pulse coming out of final exams is a bad idea. I think, especially when you have a completely new team, that playing anybody with a pulse in the first game of the season is a bad idea. Those are the places where you can really get got. So, yeah, it stinks that High Point didn't get games and Miami, Ohio didn't get games. And I don't blame those coaches for, chirping and doing what they have to do. But at the same time, there aren't requirements there. And if you're a coach who's making, let's say, $4 million, and you need to win games, if you go beat number 300 and you beat them by 20, and nobody's going to remember that game. And if you lose to a team like a Miami, Ohio, or High Point, that might cost you your $4 million a year job.
Yeah.
So the incentive structure would need to change somehow. But based on the current incentive structure, I don't blame teams for not wanting to play a High Point or a Miami, Ohio until they're forced into it in an NCAA tournament situation like they were last week.
Towson went through some of that, right? Obviously, being
and some of it is that there's certain coaches that are willing to take people on a little bit more than others. I think Kelvin Sampson's one of those guys. They played Central Florida, Houston, Kansas were their bye games this year. Towson.
Correct. Yeah.
So you realistically can only get so many of them, and you're going to have to go on the road, and you're going to have to go when it's convenient for those teams. So that actually has a trickle-down effect of, all right, if I'm going there, that means I can't schedule games on those dates or around those dates that I might have wanted to schedule. So now you have to wait on other games, which is how some of these teams end up with 2 and 3 non-Division I games on their schedule. when why are they playing these games against these non-Division I teams? Well, because especially in the case of Miami of Ohio, they were sitting around trying to
we want to leave dates
fell
open.
in their lap,
right? Yeah.
And then they just didn't have any choice. So I would simply say that it is definitely one of those situations that where you stand depends on where you sit.
It makes all the sense in the world, and to your point, I don't think it's going to change. I think it's just going to,
it's only going to get worse.
Yeah,
frankly.
Yeah.
You look at the way that let's talk about some teams like VCU, Utah State, New Mexico, St. Mary's, teams that have typically been really good year in and year out, and those teams have started to struggle to get a lot of high-end games, which is why a lot of them are playing each other. Like VCU played Utah State in Frisco, Texas in the first week of the season. They hosted New Mexico in December. I mean, we can run through, you see a lot of cross-pollination for some of those WCC schools in St. Louis and run down the list. And so they got to do something to try to get top 75 games that will make it look like they at least made the attempt to play high-end games. And sometimes that can come close to costing you. Like Santa Clara scheduled a game not too far from their campus against Loyola Chicago, who was supposed to be a top 4 or 5 team in the A-10. Instead, Loyola stunk, but managed to beat Santa Clara anyway, and they had that big blot on their schedule, on their resume, right down to Selection Sunday. Didn't ultimately cost them that much, but it was there. And so you're sitting there trying to do everything you can, but you can't control all these other variables, especially with teams that, you have rosters that are changing by a great deal year after year after year, year over year over year.
So what you're saying is next year, stay tuned for the Pac-12 A-10 Challenge coming.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Come into. I don't even know
the A-10 actually before the pandemic, the A-10 in the Mountain West had agreed to a challenge type.
Oh,
situation.
I didn't even know that. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was, and that basically the pandemic killed the first year of it, and then everybody's like, it costs too much to fly everybody all over the place.
Real quick on the coaching front, the Jerry McNamara thing seems like the easiest decision that's ever made. I think you and I could probably do 6 hours about whether or not Syracuse is really a good job at this point. How I don't think Maryland's a good job at this point. I have no idea, but it seems like pretty much a no-brainer on both sides.
Yeah, that would appear to be the case, and like in some ways you probably had some people arguing for it 3 years ago, right? So Jerry McNamara goes and coaches Siena, and he won a lot more than 10 freaking games at Siena this year.
Yeah, he did.
So that's kind of the logical thing. There's also the idea of the thing with Syracuse is they were in a bin with a group of schools like Arizona and UConn and Duke probably about 15, 20 years ago, where you're wondering, what are they going to do? What does this look like, after this Hall of Fame coach, exits the stage? And, the thing that is hard to envision is there's only so many people that are really high-end basketball coaches that want to live their entire adult lives in central New York. And Syracuse hit a home run there, and maybe they have another guy that's willing to do that. But there's also a resource question. Does Syracuse have as many resources,
right,
as it once did, relative to everybody else? And that's a question a lot of places are asking. You bring up Maryland. That's another place where, is there enough money to be able to reach the level that everybody believes that they should reach, even if that's not historically what they've always been? So, interesting to see how Syracuse does, and a number of these other programs that obviously, where expectations and reality are really struggling to meet.
Not aligned whatsoever. We talked about Jim Ferry last week. I'm hoping he suggested to me that he just thinks that they'll get together this week and they'll hammer it out. Is there any danger that, he's back in demand for any? I don't know. I'll throw out. I can't imagine that you make that jump to a USF, but what? Is he in demand after making the run at UMBC this year, and they have to compete with that?
Well, they might, and the thing is, and I don't want to. I want to be very respectful here.
Yeah.
Jim Ferry is a northeastern portion of the country guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Right. That's where.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
When you look at all the places he's been, yeah, like what's the furthest out of that area that he's gone? Duquesne?
Yeah.
Right? So I think that if there was going to be demand, it's probably going to be from somebody in that neck of the woods. He's a New York guy. He's worked up. He's obviously worked at Penn State, worked at Delphi, Plymouth State in New Hampshire is one of his stops. So you kind of look at those. There's a certain geographic area that fits him and fits kind of the way that he operates and the type of guys that he's going to recruit. So my guess is that, you bring up Siena. Like, I think that's one of the handful of jobs in that neck of the woods that if there was, maybe that's it.
That makes sense.
But I think, there's obviously a lot for UMBC, and it feels like that athletic department just has one thing after another going on behind the scenes.
Awful lot.
That just makes things even more challenging. So, they obviously need to get that situation right with giving him a contract extension, but they've got a bunch of other stuff that they're clearly trying to work through as well.
All right, let's quickly do this. Can Patrick Stevens name the MLB player or manager for these teams? And I did the first one as a combined player-manager. It is very easy. Two managerial spots, one player spot for, of course, Donnie Baseball.
The Yankees and the Dodgers and the Marlins.
So the difficult one, someone who got a lot of attention the last couple of weeks because he was pitching for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic. He is an all-star once. He once threw a no-hitter. He is now about to pitch for his 7th team, but we'll go with the 6th that Michael Lorenzen has already pitched for.
All right, Michael Lorenzen, definitely a Red.
Yes.
Definitely a Philly.
That's where he threw the no-hitter, right?
That's where he threw the no-hitter. He was a Tiger, right?
He was
like recently?
Yep.
So that leaves 3 other spots for him?
Indeed.
And these would have all been before the Reds?
No, the Reds were the first spot,
okay.
Actually. The Reds were 15 to 21, so everything has been packed in basically since then.
Okay, so he got acquired from Detroit by the Phillies, right?
Yes, went from Detroit to Philadelphia. That is correct.
So it's basically been wherever the heck else he's
there was
been.
A stop between Cincinnati and Detroit. He was in 2022 somewhere, and then he has been in 2 places since Philadelphia.
Am I thinking he was a Ranger?
He was indeed a Ranger in 2024, 100%.
Okay, he wasn't even last year. Was he a Royal?
He was a Royal in 2024 and last season. So all you're missing is 2022.
Okay, I really don't know.
Oh, this is stop it! This is a massive win. Like, what are you talking about?
Was he a Giant?
Oh, it was geographically quite close. Angels were the spot in 2022. Do you know where he is currently, by the way? Because I did not.
No idea.
He is a Rocky, and that explains why no one on the planet knows where he is. Knock out the 3 for John Smoltz.
John Smoltz would be the Braves, the Red Sox, and the Cardinals.
Are you in D.C. this weekend?
I'll be there at least Thursday, or on Friday, sorry.
Excellent.
So,
and then any lacrosse?
Yeah, still working on that, but I think that the big game around here is actually North Carolina and Harvard being played down at Archbishop Spalding on Sunday.
That's on Sunday, no doubt.
Yeah, but there's some interesting other, like Towson and Drexel's kind of an interesting game as well.
Sure.
So that's a possibility. Saw Hopkins on Saturday, looked really good against Michigan for the first 3 quarters and won that game 14-8. And that's a team that, maybe they're the best team in the Big Ten. It's possible.
Without Will Schaller, it's not looking good for Maryland.
It is not. And, it's astounding that you have a program that's never had a sub-500 season, and that is in play for them at this point.
I buy that.
And that's striking. So they're probably going to have to outscore people, and they obviously did not do that on Saturday up in State College, losing 10-6 to the Nittany Lions.
At Discourse, D1S Course on Twitter, and more importantly, Blue Sky, USA Lacrosse Magazine, Raleigh News and Observer, Ovius and Giglio. Always appreciate you, brother. Let's talk again next week, all right?
Awesome. Take care.
Thanks, pal. Patrick Stevens with us here on GCR. If you had Florida, I said Florida's the only. Somebody mentioned you could have made an argument that Kansas had a shot as a title contender because if Darren Peterson plays, then You can say they're a threat to beat anybody. And look, the way they played, obviously, late yesterday against St. John's, like it looked like they were going to get run, right? And then all of a sudden it's a tie game with just a couple of seconds left. They showed you that when they were at their best, I mean, they beat Arizona, right? Like they beat
really Houston too, yeah.
Yeah. But
they also lost to Arizona.
They did, and I never really bought it. In part, like I get it. Like if Peterson was going to play, he wasn't going to skip NCAA tournament games, so you could make that argument. I didn't buy them as being a viable title contender, but I think it was Dan. I will listen to that argument that they at least were a team that had a chance. And yes, our guy John Little Rock, dude, Acuff is insane. Like he's insane, man. Like what a player that kid is. I don't love their chances against Arizona because I think Arizona's the best team in the country, but like they've got a shot. I mean, they obviously had a hard time with High Point, but I think a lot of that has to do with we just didn't realize how good High Point was coming into this tournament. Like they were fun, man. They were an awful lot of fun, and to the point that Patrick makes, like I understand the frustration from coaches like Flynn Clayman about scheduling, but I just don't know what you're doing to change it. Like that's the reality. If a team is a threat to beat you, these coaches are like, I have nothing to gain and everything to lose. I'm just not doing it. And what you would say to some of those coaches is probably smart. I mean, that's the reality. It's probably smart. When you're judged on, do you get in? It's probably smart. And I hate that. I wish it wasn't the case, but I think that's the reality of it. And I don't know how you go about fixing it. I really don't. And, yeah, I know a lot of people enjoyed watching Kevin Willard.
That was pretty nice.
Not just lose, but kind of act
melt
like,
down at the end. Oh, yeah.
Really kind of act like a petulant. And it's tough because I think it's obvious that he was joking, but I think in his joking, he's using the joke to let something come out. Like, I think what he's really saying is, I do blame my staff for this. Now, he's not going to fire them, although who knows, maybe there is staff change for Kevin Willard. I don't believe that he was actually going to fire any of his assistants based on it, but I think what he was trying to let out, make public, is I'm pissed at the staff. And that part, I don't think he was joking about. And that's where the frustration comes in, because it goes back to, dude, you're the public. You're the one that's facing the public. Why don't you take on the accountability? Why don't you say, we're screwing up, out of timeouts, we're giving them too many second chance, easy buckets. I got to coach him better. Now, it's not Maryland's problem, although, as I've said a million times, they've got bigger problems. But I understand it leads to the anti-Kevin Willard feelings when instead of being the guy that says, that's on me, I've got to do better, if even somewhat jokingly he's throwing his assistants under the bus. You like your coach to be the buck stops here. Yep, that's unacceptable. I've got to do a better job. Period. That's on me. I've got to be better as the coach. Try to think if there was anything else from the NCAA tournament that I wanted to. I'm good. All my Final Four teams are still in play. Like that's.
Are we mad like that we didn't get Ben McCollum or like?
Yeah, I mean.
I guess he's a Midwest guy. Like it never really would have made a whole lot of sense.
It wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense.
If Kevin Willard hadn't made the Sweet 16, would we have had a better chance of getting Ben McCollum instead of him going to Iowa?
Because he just took the first job. I don't know. I mean, that it's such a logical job for him.
Right.
That,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and this is the reality, as I keep trying to say to people. This world we want to believe Maryland's a good job and can get better. Look, Maryland should have been able to do better than Buzz Williams. That is really low on the inspiring list.
Buzz wanted us.
Right. He wanted something. Buzz wanted out. That's what he wanted. And Maryland was a vehicle for him to get that. Like, this was a uniquely bad hire that I pray somehow turns around. even accepting that it was a uniquely bad hire, it's still notable to me that, like, this world where you think that if Iowa and Maryland were both on the table, well, Maryland's definitely a better job than Iowa. Based on what? And it's an interesting parallel to
They've won a national championship. Like that's
how many years ago?
Still this millennium.
That's technically true. 24, and at what time it would have been 23. 23 years prior to that. Maryland hasn't. When was the last time Maryland was favored in a Sweet 16 game? Not just won, favored.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know because the answer is 24 years ago. That there is 2.5 decades of utter irrelevance, other than winning an ACC tournament again more than 20 years ago now. Utter, complete irrelevance.
Big Ten,
Iowa,
Big Ten regular season champs, right?
They've got that.
2020.
Yeah. Most forgettable.
Big year.
Most forgettable year there could be.
No, it's what could have been.
They did share an ACC regular season title as well in Gravis's senior season. That's what they've got going for them. And so I continue to say, I don't know. Iowa has been relevant. They've had Luka Garza was very relevant. Keegan Murray was very relevant. They were very relevant. They weren't competing to win national championships, but they were relevant. Tell me what makes Maryland a better basketball job than Iowa right now. I hope it becomes that again. But with this thing where you just live in the past. And I think that's a similar conversation that Syracuse is having. Like, somebody at Syracuse thinks that they should still be able to get it. We shouldn't just have to take Jerry McNamara because he's from here. We should be able to get whoever we want. Based on what?
Carmelo Anthony.
Yes, when here over 2 decades ago. It's this thing where, like, because you were good at it was really a great comparison. There was a lot of tweets going around this weekend about how John Calipari has made Arkansas a basketball school. And, like, everybody in response being like, bro, were you born yesterday? Like, Nolan Richardson, you ever heard of him? Like, are you familiar that they won national championships in basketball? And the answer is no, because that's how long ago it was. And it wasn't even, 50 years ago. It was 30 or so years ago. But that's the reality is the things that happened decades ago just don't matter to what you are today.
So you're saying we got to wait 40 years for Maryland to be relevant again?
I mean, or to hire John Calipari.
Okay. All right. Maybe.
That was the argument that some people, I think Stan was making the argument about Patino, right? Yeah. Like, just go get him and you'll be relevant quickly. And you know what? He was right. Oh, no, Stan was John Beilein, right? That's who he wanted.
Oh.
As it turns out, John Beilein, had no interest in coaching any longer. He was just done. But there's an argument for that.
Can't wait until Mark Turgeon wins one game in Kansas City.
Oh, my God, man. Oh, my God. So, yeah, Ben McCollum has done a hell of a job, sure. Now, does that mean that Iowa's going to win even one more tournament game? I don't know. I mean, I think they have a shot against Nebraska. To be fair, I was not very high on Nebraska going into the tournament, and, boy, they were about a centimeter away from getting knocked out in round 2. Holy hell. Holy hell. There's a lot of people.
That was the second time Benny did that, too.
Yeah, it's the same kid. The same kid.
It was
yeah.
Was it Tanner?
Tanner, I think, yes.
Mizzou.
And, I mean, that was even closer than the Gordon Hayward shot, which to me is I've always used the Gordon Hayward shot as like if I could any one sports outcome that didn't have anything to do with my team, I would say the Gordon Hayward shot or the Tom Watson at like 100 years old had the putt to win the British Open. And I don't even care about golf, but like that story was just insane. Who's calling me? Arizona's calling me. What the hell do they want?
They're saying, thanks for making us your national champion.
Yeah, thanks for picking us. And it's Phoenix. It's not Tucson. Oh, yeah. Are you really going to make me relive that? Is this a comparison between the two?
No, I think this is just the Hayward shot.
Then who cares? That happened a million years ago.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
the other
Vandy
one,
was
was down. Like, that one had a real chance, but the Vandy one was down. Like, it was in the basket and popped back out. Wow. All right, countysports.zone. If you missed anything from high school basketball championship week, you can find it at countysports.zone. And now, of course, baseball, lacrosse, all the spring sports, scores, schedules, rankings, the whole 9 yards, countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. You want to relive this one?
Courtesy of March Madness.
Thank you, March Madness. Whatever network this aired on, CBS, TBS, TNT.
Turner. Thank you, Turner. Yeah.
You know that?
Well, I mean, it was
that
the Turner Network, right?
That wasn't the one. That was just.
Oh,
Okay,
they're splicing it together.
Here it is.
Ooh.
I mean, it was in. It was in. That is wild. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit and two, but to wrap it up, it is. By the way, all the Nebraska players thought it was good. Like, you go back and look at their reaction. Like, they couldn't even celebrate. Like, they thought it was in. We'll come back in, get a tidbit and two, but to wrap it up. Glenn Clark Radio.
March Mania is on at Live Casino. And you can get a front row seat for all the action at Sports and Social. Raise your game with massive wall-to-wall TVs. And raise a cheer with your favorite beers, cocktails, and an all-star menu. Best of all, you could win huge prizes every game. Don't get benched. Book your table at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnken. If you've been injured in a car or truck crash, you probably know this is stressful. Medical bills, the insurance company giving you the runaround, you got to get your car fixed. You don't just need a lawyer, you need results. At Warnken LLC, we represent the injured across Maryland. Whether it's a car or truck crash case, medical malpractice, or any other serious personal injury, we fight for maximum compensation for you and maximum ease for you. You don't want to have to deal with this stuff. Warnken LLC has been voted best personal injury law firm in Maryland for a reason. For us, 443 Results isn't just a phone number, it's our mission. Get the advocate that you need. Call us today, 443 Results, or visit us online, warnkenlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Right, yeah, we were going to come back in with a video. That was the point.
Yeah.
And we both kind of. It's
well, and then somebody was
yeah,
talking.
right. It's
John,
really
John's time. Both are
really
returned
bad
from break perfectly.
So this got a lot of attention yesterday. You might have seen it. Unfortunately, Maryland loses to North Carolina in the second round of the women's tournament. But Lucia Kanawa, there was a moment in there where Brenda was right in her face, and it didn't jump out at me at all as I was watching it because the interaction, you could just tell it wasn't frosty. It was, and I'm not even a lip.
And we know Brenda. Like, does that?
Yeah, I think that had something to do with it too. Yes, and I'm not a lip reader, but I think immediately the internet recognized that like what she was saying was really good. I believe in you, but you've got to want this moment, and I appreciated what Alucci Okonowa said afterwards, and I think it was really neat. When you get to see coaching like this, like really high-level coaching, it's really cool. So this was Alucci Okonowa explaining this moment.
Coach understands I'm a competitor at heart, and I've told her this before, and I'll keep on telling her this until forever. I love to be coached hard, and that's what she does with me every single day. And really what that was a regroup moment for myself, and her telling me she believed in me, because sometimes that's really all you need to hear to get back out there. It's a long game, lots of ups and downs, and I feel like after that conversation, that's when I really went back out and just did what I had to do for my team in that moment. So I'm forever appreciative of that.
I remember last week when we had Brenda on, she talked about how proud she was of Alucci kind of taking on an alpha role. They lost Kayleen Smykel earlier this season, and that had not been Alucci's role, obviously, at Duke. And she stepped up, and she answered the bell, and she really became an alpha for this team. And you appreciate that. Like that's the sign of really good coaching, of knowing exactly what you need to do to bring out the best in a player. And it's not the same for everybody. You don't see Brenda doing that with every player, but recognizing that's what this player needs in order to bring it out of her. That's a really cool thing. It sucks they lost the game, and it was hard to imagine given the injuries that they were going to be able to make a title run. But that was a neat moment yesterday of just getting to see really high level coaching, and a reminder of why Brenda Fries is a Hall of Famer. So good stuff there. Other than the result, of course, would have been nice for them to keep playing. That would have been a lot of fun. Well, we get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the print issue of Press Box, which is still available for just a little bit longer at your Baltimore area Highs Dairy stores. Everywhere around town where you find Press Box, and also free at PressBoxOnline.com. Cal Ripken on the cover. Go get that today before it's gone in a couple of weeks.
VCU, they were down by 19 against North Carolina in their round of 64 game. It was the 6th biggest comeback in tournament history, 2nd biggest second-half deficit ever. Nevada had a 22-point rally in the second half alone against Cincinnati back in 2018. The record, and maybe this shouldn't even count, the record is 25 points, 25-point comeback in the NCAA tournament.
Is that Gonzaga against?
No, it was in the first 4 in 2012, so does it really count?
Who was
BYU against Iona.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait,
how was that a first?
I don't know. I guess so. Was Iona was really good? Was this
Iona was like an 11 seed?
Patino was at Louisville still at that time, right? Like that was, or was it at 12? Because they did 12s were playing at one point, right?
Still, that seems like a high seed for Iona.
It definitely does.
I mean, Tim Klose had Iona cooking too for a while. That's why. I don't know, man. I just didn't realize they were that high of a seed.
Obviously, we did mention it. Villanova lost that game, kind of preposterously as well. They lost by 10, right? Wasn't that the final score? They become the second team in tournament history to lose a game where they made 14 threes while the opponent made 2 or fewer threes.
How about that?
Oh, there was?
Yeah, sure.
Indiana lost 90-80 to Gonzaga back in 2006.
Sure.
So, yeah, well done. Well done, Kevin.
Or maybe did Gonzaga blow a lead? When you said it didn't count, I was thinking of their Final Four game where they hit the Did they blow a big lead in that game and then win anyway?
Oh, in
2021.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Was that against? Would that have been against UCLA?
Because they lost. Yeah, and they lost because they lost to Baylor in the title game.
The game was close the whole way. Maybe it wasn't.
I feel like there was.
Maybe they were up by like 15 or something. Right. UCLA made it close. Terrace Reed ends the weekend. Obviously, he had they needed every one of them. 31 and 27 against Furman. UConn did. And then had not quite that much yesterday against UCLA, but he ends the weekend with 41 points and 40 rebounds in opening weekend. Nice. First player to go 40-40 since 1997.
Sure.
40-40 on the weekend.
1997. That's pre-Shane Battier. He could have been a freshman, but he wouldn't have done that. I don't know. Give me something.
Wake Forest.
Oh, Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Right, yeah.
Tim Duncan in 1997. Yeah. Yes. And then can you go 16 for 16 on you think you can go 16 for 16 on this list here? This is the original school for oh shoot, somebody's got the answer right there. Gosh, darn it. Hold on, let me close your eyes real quick.
The original school for what?
This is the original school for all of the what is going on here? This isn't going to work, I guess.
What's
Wait.
the problem?
Oh, there we go.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
It's the original school for the Sweet 16 teams.
What does that mean, the original school for the Sweet 16 team?
Like where every kid started.
Oh, not a chance in hell.
Well, look, you should be able to get some of them.
Who?
Some of them.
Who should I be able to get?
Like, I mean, there's 4 Duke starters on one of them. Like, I think you can guess who. Not name the kids, like name the school, like which school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michigan State's Michigan State.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on a second. Now I'm just trying to match them, is what you're saying.
Correct.
All right, so hang on. So Arizona's obvious. That's the fourth one over.
Yep, Arizona. Yeah, Michigan State's obvious.
The third one over is probably Nebraska.
Yeah. Or you mean up
that
here?
one?
Yes. Yeah.
Third one over, correct. The top 3 on the top. 5 on the top is Michigan State. 6 on the top is Purdue. 7 is Iowa State, and 8 is Houston.
Yes.
So I'm really trying to figure out the first 2 on the top row. The second row, it's Alabama. And I got to figure that one out. 'Cause I'm doing deductive reasoning. And it's Tennessee, and there's the Belmont
Tennessee.
on there for Jacoby Gillespie. UConn, Duke, Arkansas, blank, and Illinois.
These were the 2 that tripped me up. 2 and 7 on the bottom. Yeah.
All right, so I'm missing 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. All right. And there's only 4 teams that these could possibly be.
Yeah.
So who have I not named yet that's in the Final Four? St. John's. There's got to be
there's not a single St. John's on there.
But there's a Kansas, and that's where Zuby was, right?
Correct.
So they're the 7th at the bottom.
Yes, correct. This is, in fact, St. John's. Yes.
Okay. Look at that. We're cooking now.
But now you got to figure out who was Texas then, because there's a Texas Longhorn here, but he goes to St. John's. So there's not a single. So Texas doesn't have a single starter.
I don't know it, and I can't name a single Texas player. So that's going to be very difficult. All right, so I'm missing Texas. I've got UConn. I've got Michigan State. Who else am I missing that's in the Sweet 16? I got Duke. I've got Arizona. I got Arkansas. We got Purdue. Michigan.
Yes. Who is Michigan?
Piss. Michigan is. Oh, Michigan's the down.
Sure? Or maybe
second,
they have 3 UConn.
Second column on the bottom is Michigan.
This is Michigan?
I was thinking FAU because Dusty May, but you're right. There's a Michigan up there.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it. They're the second on the bottom.
Incorrect.
They're the one with Michigan?
They are the one with Michigan.
Damn it.
Yaxel Lindenborg started at
UAB.
Did he? Yeah, UAB.
I was really confident about that good Dusty May connection. I was like, come on, man. It's obvious. I felt really good about that. All right. So I've got Iowa?
Yeah, Iowa's one of them.
Iowa. So it's got to be the first one on the left.
Yes, because one of those is the Northwest Missouri State, I think. I think it's this one, the Raiders, and that's where Bennett Sturts and Ben McCollum both started.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. And they had another D2 guy up here. They had 2. I mean, it's crazy what Ben McCollum's done. So yeah, I was first on the top. Yeah, who's the 16th team?
I don't even know. Oh, Texas.
Oh yeah, I said him. Yeah, because Texas.
Yeah, Texas. So Texas is.
So that is Texas.
Yeah.
Cam Heide went to Purdue. Maybe that's the only way. He had a big shot yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
Or Saturday, whatever day they played. Dylan Swain went to Xavier.
All right.
Jordan Pope went to Oregon State. There you go.
All right, very good. Very good. That was tough. Let's get
Good.
Sure. Let's get tubular. Let's.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise in 15 minutes. The final exhibition game of the season for the Orioles as they'll take on the Nationals down in D.C. That game is on MLB Network, so you'll be able to watch it. It's also free on MLB TV. Shane Baz makes his final start of the preseason, and we now know he is going to be third in the rotation, as that was confirmed over the weekend by Craig Albernaz. It will go Rogers, Bradish, Baz, Bassett, Eflin the first time through the rotation. But Shane Baz against something called P.J. Poulin. Poulin. That's today at Nationals Park.
I think they said Bass is going to follow Baz, too.
Right.
Yeah,
today you mean?
Yeah.
I thought you meant
yeah.
in the rotation. No. We said that. Yeah. Today he's also going to
see
pitch.
Baz
Got
and
it.
Bass.
Got it. The UMBC women continue their NIT run as they take on Marshall tonight at 6 on ESPN+. Women's tournament already underway for the day. Alabama, Louisville on ESPN, then Virginia, Iowa, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Syracuse, UConn, USC, South Carolina, Oklahoma State, UCLA.
So who did the winner gets to become USC, like, for sure?
Oh,
then?
South Carolina, USC is just like that. That's for the
USC
right to be
versus
USC.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a fair trade for USC because I don't like their chances.
What's USC? What do you mean?
Southern Cal.
Oh,
I don't like their chances.
I was like, you don't like Dawn Staley's chances? I think she's got a pretty good team again this
I
year.
do think she's got a very good team. ESPN2 tonight for Kentucky, West Virginia at 5 and Illinois Vanderbilt at 7. They got to get those over with because they got to get to the TGL finals at 9. That's very important. Got to get to that. Everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com. Non-sports?
Not really. St. Dennis Medical, Reggie Dinkus. Sentimental Value is streaming on Hulu now.
Which one is that?
Oscar-nominated movie. The one with Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thanks today to Jon Heyman. Thanks also to Steve Johnson, as well as to Patrick Stevens. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the...
Fallon's going to have Taraji P. Henson, Cedric the Entertainer, and Flea.
Is he doing another Back to the Future movie? Is that...
I don't know what Flea's doing.
All right.
Maybe it's an actual Flea. I don't know.
Be interesting. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, anything?
Tuesday, yeah.
All right, then.
All our Tuesday stuff.
Yes. Maybe we could do a... we bringing back? I guess we're bringing back the baseball stuff with 3 up, 3 down. Maybe we do like a preview 3 up, 3 down.
Who we think make our Orioles MVP prediction.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Who's gonna be the worst Orioles?
Yeah, I don't really want to do that. Now that I think about it, I really don't want to do that. There's got to be a better way. Maybe we do baseball predictions with Stan tomorrow.
Okay.
That he still owes us from last year. I believe he still owes us Italian lunch, and we're still working on that. All right, don't forget Quigley's starting at 9 a.m. on Thursday. Quigley's half Irish pub. You got to be 21 or over. Anybody dressed as a polar bear or wearing any sort of polar bear paraphernalia will be registered to win $250 in cash and $100 in food and beverage credit from Live Casino and Hotel. Best one wins. Got to be there between 9 and 11:30 a.m. Thursday. Quigley's half Irish pub. Can't wait to see you there. Thanks to Griffin, at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great... Oh, did I thank the sponsors and partners? I didn't, including Quigley's Half Irish Pub, Live Casino and Hotel, Costas Inn, Baltimore area highest dairy stores, a leading edge auto body, Warnken Law, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Cruise, Maryland, countysports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Have a great Monday night. Go UMBC women. Duke sucks.